Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off talking about PlayStation 2 emulation on Android with AetherSX2 patch, NetherSX2. And NetherSX2 just got a brand new update. So this release is version 1.8 and it's the first update since November of last year. It contains some changes, some fixes, and some compatibility improvements. So for the NetherSX2 patcher changes, this script will now correctly use any copy of the AetherSX2 4248 APK, regardless of what it's named. The on-screen display and show version options correctly show that you're running NetherSX2. They restored the Create Launcher shortcut functionality, and they added the ability to restore the original AetherSX2 buttons. For the game-specific fixes, they fixed the black squares on the ground in Area 51, they fixed the shadows in Destroy All Humans, they fixed the lighting when using Vulkan with Star Wars Battlefront 2, they fixed the black eyes in Jak and Daxter games, and even more. And on top of that, they've increased the amount of controllers that are compatible with the emulator, like the Backbone 1, the Nyko Airflow X, and even more. For those who may be unaware, NetherSX2 is a patch for AetherSX2. Since AetherSX2 is partially closed source, NetherSX2 aims to continue on with this emulator. It tries to improve on things and hopefully make things better. I'll drop a link to a tutorial in the description below in the event that you wanted to learn more about installing NetherSX2. And speaking about Android, next up we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation on Android with Yuzu. And Yuzu just added a feature a lot of people were asking for. Now this update has not made it to the Google Play Store yet. If you wanted to find it, you'll have to head over to the GitHub and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. Right now they're on Android version 254, but this update was effective as of Android version 252. And the new feature I think a lot of people are going to be excited about is controller mapping. Yes, it's finally available. So if you have a controller and the buttons are swapped or not set in the right place, you can now configure each individual button on your controller and hopefully get things set up the way you want it. Next up, we're talking about an incredibly popular front end, ESDE, which stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or Emulation Station Desktop Edition, depending on how you want to interpret that. And ESDE just released version 3.0.0. Now this is their first update in 2024. It comes with a brand new default theme named Linear. And they're shortening the name here from Emulation Station Desktop Edition to simply ESDE. As for some of the other changes, they've added more support for configuring fonts. They added an option to the input device settings menu to swap the A, B, and XY buttons. They added Mednafin standalone as an alternative emulator for the Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and Super Graphics systems. They added Mezen standalone as an alternative emulator for the Game Gear, Master System, Multivision systems, and even more. The Melon DS RetroArch Core is now the default emulator for Nintendo DS. On Linux, they added support for the app image release of Vita 3K and the Flatpak release of PUNES. ZSO files are now supported for PS2. ZAR files are now supported for Xbox 360. And the PK3 and IPK3 file extensions for the Doom system on Linux, Unix, and Windows. They've added in support for some less common aspect ratios, 19.5:9, 20:9, and 1:1. And there's also a large number of bug fixes. If you are curious about this one, I'll drop a link to the full changelog in the description below and feel free to check it out. ESDE is 100% free and open source. Next up, we're talking about Game Boy Advance emulation on Android with Pizza Boy GBA Basic and Pizza Boy GBA Pro. GBA Basic is free and GBA Pro is a paid app. These are not open source, but both of them just got an update. So if you weren't happy with or possibly experiencing issues with audio in Pizza Boy GBA Pro or Basic, the audio module has been completely rewritten for both. Next up, we're talking about Nintendo 3DS emulation with Citra, and the multiplayer portion of Citra got some updates. So in the latest nightly version, there's now color player counts in the multiplayer public lobby list. Full lobbies have their player count displayed in red. Lobbies with one slot left have their player count displayed in orange. Empty lobbies have their player count grayed out. On top of that, they've added hotkeys for multiplayer actions and persistent filters in multiplayer public lobby list. They say it makes it easier to rejoin a room if you regularly play the same game or after a crash. And to pick up the latest nightly version of Citra, head to citra-emu.org and click on Download. And then click on Manual Download, and then under Nightly Build, pick it up for your platform of choice. Moving on, and we're talking about the Evercade, and it appears that N64 Emulation has reached Evercade. So they're releasing the Pico Interactive Collection 4 in April. One of the games included is Glover 64. If you played Glover 64 before, let me know in the comments below. If you've got an Evercade, let me know in the comments below. Next up, this is a quick one. If you've got a PlayStation 5, you live in the UK, and you've got access to an ASDA or ASDA, I'm not quite sure on how to say that. Apparently it's a supermarket. You may want to check it out. At least one of them is selling Immortals of Aveum for £1. Not a bad deal at all. It seems like a pretty big bargain. Next up, I've got another quick one for you, and I might be late to the party on this one because rumors are already spinning, or rather they haven't stopped. Apparently the next Nintendo console has been delayed until early 2025. Rumors before that was it was going to come out sometime at the end of 2024. And rumors before that was it was going to be announced at the beginning of 2024. Right now, all there are a whole bunch of rumors, and there's probably going to be even more in the upcoming months. Let me know your thoughts about the next Nintendo console in the comments below. Realistically here, we're probably going to hear more about it in the next few months. Now, these rumors can apparently be traced back to Nintendo telling publishers that the Switch 2 is delayed until Q1 2025. And game publishers and developers probably already know what the next console is, what it entails, and how powerful it's going to be. And we'll just have to wait and see what the next rumors are. Moving on, and we're quickly talking about a couple of Linux-specific things. And the first one here is with the desktop environment GNOME, or GNOME, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Anyways, GNOME 46 beta has just been released. Feel free to check this one out. However, if you are using a virtual machine, there appear to be some performance problems. And the second item is another desktop environment being developed by System 76, and that's Cosmic, and they're getting very close to an alpha release. The System 76 team has done a lot of work on Cosmic, and if you've got a laptop with a discrete GPU, for example an Intel or AMD CPU and an NVIDIA GPU, you might be excited to know that there are improvements here to help out battery life and probably also quiet your fans. They say here hybrid graphics mode now has minimal impact on battery life when the GPU is not in use. And the battery applet will tell them when the GPU is being used and which apps are using it. Closing those apps will turn off the GPU. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a concrete release date just yet, but since it is an alpha, I expect some things to be broken and not working correctly. And also possibly not entirely finished. I mean, it seems like they still have some stuff left to do. At the same time here, I am excited and I really hope this thing turns out well. Next up, I'm not too sure if you've seen this one before, but there's a brand new handheld in development. It's called the Orange Pi Neo. It's a collaboration between Orange Pi and Manjaro. This thing is going to be powered by an AMD Ryzen 7 7840U. There appear to be two different versions, one with 16 gigs of RAM and one with 32. For storage, it goes from 512 gigs to 2 terabytes. The screen on this one's interesting. It's 1920 by 1200, so 16 by 10 at 120 Hz. It does have Hall effect triggers and joysticks. Unfortunately, I don't have pricing for this device just yet, but according to the development Q&A forum post, which I'll drop a link to in the description below, they're targeting a Q2 2024 release, so that's April, May, or June of this year. Considering that Orange Pi is partnering with Manjaro on this one, I have extremely high expectations in terms of support. I am expecting this device is going to be better supported than a lot of other handhelds out there. Better supported than something like the Lenovo Legion Go, better than the Asus ROG Ally, better than all of the Neo and AYN devices, not better than the Steam Deck, but very well supported. Now, I could be wrong here. I really hope I'm not, but to be fully transparent, Manjaro has made some controversial decisions over the years. But at the same time, having a full Linux distribution supporting you is a very good sign. Next up, another quick one, and this one's just a rumor so far, but data miners have apparently found a Battle Royale playlist in Halo Infinite. I'll drop a link to this video in the description below and feel free to check it out. It hasn't officially been announced or released yet, but at the same time, data miners are usually pretty accurate. Next up, this is just a heads up about the Lies of P on Steam. If you head to the Lies of P Steam page and scroll down, number 1, it's on sale for 25% off. And number 2, they appear to have completely removed Denuvo. Next up, we're talking about Palworld, and this is also a quick one. If you like to mod games, you might be excited to know that someone has released a first-person mod for this game over on Nexus Mods. I'll drop a link to it in the description below. Furthermore, if you wanted to see it in action, the developer has an 11-minute video showcasing just that. Now, I will say it's not necessarily perfect, and there's a bit of weird graphical glitching here and there, but at the same time, pretty neat. And speaking about developers, last up here is another quick one. And this is from the developer of Washington, D.C., a Dreamcast emulator. It's called gdisofa. They've just released this one, and it's a Fuse module that you can use to explore the files in an image of a Dreamcast game. Now, gdisofa might be a very niche thing, but at the same time here, it's a pretty neat tool, and I'm glad it's been released. Next up, we're talking about the NBA, and when I first saw this video, I thought someone just edited it together to make a joke, but it turns out it's real. I apologize if you like this and you're looking forward to it, but I really think they could have done a better job here. They're calling it the NBAI. It allows fans to activate movie mode and watch live games animated like popular films such as Spider-Man. And here is the clip in action, and to me this looks absolutely horrible. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm out of touch here, maybe my thoughts are not aligned with everybody else's, but at the same time, what on earth is this? In my opinion, the better way to go here would be to go the Nickelodeon Super Bowl route and add stuff into an already existing game. I mean, this seemed to be a massive hit. A lot of people thought it was hilarious. Either way, let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Would you actually use this movie mode? But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos, don't tempt fate, save your state.